look at basics of loans. I think this might be one of the most applicable to potentially your life. And I think learning about how different loans work might give you some perspective on like the paying off period and how, if you're going to get a loan for whatever reason, that you're going to want to pay it off as fast as you can because of interest. So APR is the annual percentage rate. So annual rate, you're going to pay on the money that you've borrowed. Principal is the total amount of the loan or that's been financed. A fixed interest rate loan has an interest rate that doesn't change over the life of the loan. A variable interest rate loan is one that could change. The term of the loan, I guess I should have been bolded. The term of the loan is how long the borrower has to pay the loan back. An installment loan is a loan with a fixed period, and the borrower pays a fixed amount per period until the loan is paid off. The periods are almost uniformly monthly. I butchered this pronunciation of this word every time, but a loan amortization is the process used to calculate how much each payment will be applied to the principal and how much is applied to the interest. And there's something called revolving credit or open-end credit. That's how most credit cards work, but it's also a type of loan account. So we have our normal interest formula. Interest equals principal times R over N. We're dividing it by N because the APR is the annual percentage rate. It's not a rate that's going to happen every single time. It's just every year. So sometimes interest for one period, the time is 1, and it doesn't impact the calculation. But interest paid to lenders is always rounded up to the next penny. So R is the rate, and N is number of payments in a year. So typically 12. But it could be different. But normally it's 12. All right, so we're going to find the interest on these. So we have a remaining principal of $13,450 and an annual rate of 6.75%. So the interest, the principal is at $13,450, and then we're going to multiply that by the rate, so 0.0675, and each period is a month, so we'll do it 12 for the months in the year. So 0.0675 divided by 12 times 13,450. That gives me 75 and then 65625, but we're going to round up. So 66. All right, we're going to do it again for another situation. So the interest is 8,460 times 0.0599 over 12. Let's throw that in a calculator. And I get 42 23. Sorry. All right, here's a big payment formula. So the payment can be found by this, right? That's a really long formula. We've talked about it before, but we also were using Excel or Google Sheets to help us get that answer. So let's go do that. Let me open a Google Sheets document. All right, so remember, we go into a cell. If it'll let me type. Sometimes with my tablet, it doesn't like things. Okay, and we want to do equals, and then PMT for payment, and then it'll pop up all the things we need. Let me go back and reread the scenario. Okay, so we want the rate. Remember, that's R over N. So ours was 3.99%, so 0.0399 divided by 12. And then we want the number of periods, so it's 5 years. So we can do 12 times 5, or 12 times 5 is 60. And then we are doing the present value. So that's going to be the 28,500. And then I think we put 0, and then it'll, nope. Okay, maybe we don't want 0 in it. Why is it giving me an error? Nope, okay. Doesn't like the formula. Why not? It worked the other day. Is it because I didn't close it? Weird, because I didn't close the formula, it didn't like it. So we just put in the amount, the 28,500. And so we get a monthly payment of $524.74. $524.74. All right. Oh, and I guess I should have used the formula, because here we do the Google Sheets to do it. Which, there it is. You can do the negative payment so the number doesn't show up as negative in the end, or you don't have to. All right, we want a home loan, $136,700 with an annual interest rate of $575 for 15 years. So let's go back and use that formula. So yeah, I'm just going to go in a new cell and then do equals payment. The rate was 0.575, and we got to divide it by 12. Number of periods, that's 12 times 15. I don't know off the top of my head, so I'm going to put that in here as 12 times 15 and have Google Sheets do that for me. And then the present value was 136,700. Oops. 136,700. And I had to close the parentheses. All right. I almost feel like that's pretty high. What did I type in? Oh, because I did 0.575. I need to do 0.0575. Goodness, that looks a lot better. Okay. So 1,135 and 17 cents. 1,135 and 17 cents. All right. So we're going to talk about the cost to finance something, because when you borrow money for whatever reason, whether it's student loans, car loan, mortgage, personal loan, anything, you are not just saying, hey, I want 10 grand and I'm just going to pay you back 10 grand and then we'll call it good. So it's this interest part is where they get you on everything. So while you need the money for whatever it is that you need it for, and you can get it pretty immediately, when you're paying it off, you are paying off way more than the original amount that you had actually asked for. So let's look at this. So you're going to sign a loan for $15,000 at 6.33% for 5 years. When she took out the loan, she paid a $750 origination fee. And over the course of the loan, she pays $2,537.96 in interest. So what was the cost to finance the loan? All right, so it did a bunch of calculations for us already, but, and this, okay, yeah. So she had the 15,000. We're just going to say, what's the, I guess how much it cost her to do it, or additional, I should say, because we know we're spending the 15,000. So there was a 750 initial fee, and then over the course of the loan, there was that 2,537.96. So let's add those together. So 750 plus 2,537.96, and I get 3,287.96. So this is the additional cost. So that's the cost to finance the loan. It's the sum of all costs, fees, interest, and other charges over the life of the loan. So if we want like a total number of, oh, how much did it, that 50, well, I guess the way I was going to phrase this, how much did that $15,000 actually cost? And this is what it would be, the 3,287.96. Because like, since you were borrowing the 15,000, you paid off or used it for whatever you were going to pay off. So let's use a car. So you used it to pay the car, and then you were paying that amount back to the lender, and then it cost you an additional, we'll just round 3,000 to actually get that money. I hope I didn't make that confusing. All right. So here is something called and I'll try and write it here, an amortization table or schedule. So this is what, if you go and get a loan, definitely at least for a house, at least that's where I have seen it. I haven't seen it for my car. But they give you like a schedule of, all right, if you're going to be paying this amount per month, then this is how much goes to the principal, how much goes to the interest, all that fun stuff. So let's look at this, and then maybe I'll answer these questions within just reading this at a basic level. But all right, so, and you can Google an amortization schedule template, and Google has some good resources there. Or I can show you how to build it from scratch in Excel or Sheets. It's not too hard, it's just time consuming. And then you got to make sure all your formulas are right. But anywho, so we have a loan amount of $10,000, an annual interest rate of 4.75%. And then the term is how many years? So 20 years. And then they've determined that their monthly payment is $64.62. So we're going to be paying that every month, right? So here's all the months. Your payment is going to be the same throughout, okay? But here's what changes. So we can find all this stuff. So we can find our interest, right? How much interest we're going to be paying off of it. And then if we subtract the payment and interest, we get how much is actually going to the principal. So at first, not a lot of money is going towards the principal, and a good chunk of it is going towards the interest. So in a loan, when you are paying more towards the interest than what you actually owe first, which is a little bit backwards in my opinion, but this is how people make money. So you can see, as we're paying that same amount each month, right, that the principal amount is slowly getting higher and higher and higher. So you're getting closer and closer to paying that loan off. And then the interest payments are going down, 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 down. And then it has a column here for the total interest that you're paying over the course of the loan. So it's not that right here, I'm just picking a random line here, that you are paying $275 to interest in that month. It's just over the course of that loan, you have paid $275. And then it keeps a running balance of how much you owe off that original $10,000. Okay? And then it can go, this stops, but it would keep going until it's paid off. All right, I'm gonna erase my drawings here and now try and answer these questions if I haven't already done that. What is the loan amount, or the principal, the interest rate, and the term? That is all right here. So the loan amount is that $10,000. The interest rate, there's an APR of 4.75%. And the term is 20 years. How much is the monthly payment? So it's right here. $64.62. How much remaining balance is there after the payment in month 15? So here's month 15. The remaining balance is $9,613.83. How much was the interest in payment 10? So payment 10, interest $38.68. What was the total interest paid after payment 18? So here's 18, total interest $697.01. Oh, and then there's the last question here. What happens to the amount paid in interest each month? I'm going to say it gradually decreases. So we can see at the beginning, the interest started at $39.58, and by month 27, it's $36.87. So I don't know if you have loans or if you are going to need a loan at any point, but the goal is you want to pay it off fast so you're not paying that much in interest. When we get to the house mortgage part section, I can't remember what it is later in this chapter, we'll talk about doing the 15-year loan, the 30-year loan, and then we'll talk about how they're in talks of doing a 50-year loan and why that is a bad idea. So, all right, that's the basics for right now. So if you have any questions, let me know.